Ladies and gentlemen, this RedGamingTech video. Well, it's our weekly podcasty thing.
We are back with more goodness.
Yeah. So we've got a few topics this week.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say, last week we mentioned we're going to be doing a giveaway, and that will be at the end of this podcast. You get the details as to how to enter.
Plus all the games we've got. Which
plus the huge stack of games that you'll get to choose from. So,
like Fallout,
yeah,
Black Ops.
We'll get into that later. But for now, let us begin as always with the games we have been playing, if any, this week.
Okay, do you want to start? Because I started last time.
Sure, I mean, I haven't really played a huge amount this week. I played a little bit of Firewatch, and I do mean like an hour, maybe.
How is that? Because everyone seems to be literally like coming at the seams about that one.
I mean, I haven't played very much, to be honest. An hour is probably generous, actually. Now I think about it, it's probably more like 40 minutes, but it's really pretty. The graphics are absolutely gorgeous, and...
Well, that's all that matters.
No, it isn't. Thing is, if you don't like games that are quote-unquote walking simulators, you won't like this. It's not as bad as, say, like Dear Esther. It actually has gameplay elements. They're just very...
So it's a bit like Fallout 4.
Oh, come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. Anyway, what was I saying? It does actually have gameplay, but the gameplay...
So not like Fallout 4,
The gameplay it does... The gameplay it does have is pretty basic. There's no combat or anything. The strength of the game is from its writing. Because basically you are at a national park and your job is to watch for fires, as the title would suggest.
Oh. For some reason I thought there was something more to it. I don't know.
No. That's the reason your character has taken this job. You are there to watch for forest fires in the summertime, basically.
Right.
And your main lifeline and the only person you really communicate to is your supervisor, and it's all over a sort of walkie-talkie. This is like set in like 1985, where there's no cell phones, no GPS, none of that. So you're walking around having to actually use a map and a compass to get around.
I bet that's tricky.
It does mark where you are on the map, but you do have to figure out like which direction do I need to go, basically.
Okay.
But the strength of the game is from the interaction between those two characters. They're really well written and really well voiced. And obviously I haven't played a huge amount myself, but from what I've heard, the writing and the script and how you learn about your character, is really good. So my first impressions are good.
What other stuff?
Other than that, I played a bit more Unravel. That should be coming this week. Fingers crossed. And yeah, no, it's really good. My opinions on it haven't really changed. It definitely has some problems that
Watch Unraveled or Fire?
Unravel.
Okay.
I mean, Firewatch, it depends on whether or not you want like walking simulators.
Okay.
That's entirely subjective. As for Unravel, it has a few niggles in that it's a bit too, like... I can't really explain it.
Use your words.
I just wish it had more checkpoints, because it's really infuriating to mess up, die, and have to redo like 5 minutes worth of puzzles.
Fair enough. So it's a bit like Dark Souls.
No, not even slightly.
No. More frustrating or less frustrating?
I wouldn't even put it even in the same league as Dark Souls. It's not that bad. It's just like... if I've just solved a puzzle and I accidentally like jump into some water and drown within like a couple of seconds before I can even really do anything, I then have to redo what I just did, all those puzzles, and it's not...
Yeah, the thing about
it's not
puzzles,
fun. It's just busy work of like, okay, pull this.
The problem with redoing puzzles as well is the challenge is done once you've completed the puzzle.
Yeah, like once I know how to solve it, it's done. But if I die or whatever, not that you can die all that often, but still, it's still annoying. I just wish they had more checkpoints.
Okay.
But other than that, Unravel is still good. It's still full of charm. It's a fairly basic game in terms of that. It's a physics platformer, but what makes it good is its charm. So there you go.
Okay.
What about you?
Completed Tomb Raider.
Yes. On the Xbox One, right?
Yeah. Gotta say, there's a couple of things I disliked. Overall, my opinions of the game are it's really good.
Yeah.
Slightly better than the first. But I think that towards the end, the writing became a bit too predictable.
Right.
I think the ending was really predictable because spoilers for the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, cover your ears for like the next minute or so.
essentially, at the end, she decides to smash like the thing that gives eternal life rather than keep it, and so it's kind of obvious that's what was going to happen. And there's just 1 second where it looks like she's going to take like the evil route and like go for it, and then she decides not to.
I see. But apart from that, what do you think of the game, especially compared to the one that came out a couple of years ago?
I think it's better in some ways. I'd say overall it's a better experience.
Yeah, I mean, I have heard, pretty much everyone who I've heard to talk about it, because I haven't actually played it yet myself. I'm going to wait for a while because I've got so many games to play. Is that it's just like the other one, but way better.
I don't know about way better, but then I think this one has some nicer areas and nicer puzzles, but I think some of the areas I think this one has nicer areas, nicer puzzles, and probably a better upgrade system.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the first one has probably a slightly nicer intro, and I think that the writing's a bit more tighter throughout the game. So I'd say I would say that Rise is better, but it's not leagues better.
Right. And what about the tombs? Did you use
I did try some of their optional tombs, and I have to say that they're much better in terms of puzzles. They're not oh my god level, but they're pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard like classic Tomb Raider fans complain they're too easy, which they probably are in comparison to how hard they were back in the day.
There was a couple that were a bit trickier.
Yeah.
Aside from that, mostly, to be honest, I've been on a bit of a retro kick.
Mm.
And I've been playing like a little bit here and there, just kind of messing around, but not like playing anything super, super in-depth. To be honest, I'm actually mostly at the moment spending most of my free time researching retro games, because I'm trying to figure out which retro systems to partake in. It's actually amazing how the prices of retro gaming in some instances has gone up like through the roof, because I've actually was looking through some of my collection of the PS1 / Saturn / blah, and I found out, as I was showing you, that I've got Castlevania Symphony of the Night, the limited edition.
Yeah.
And it's like going for like 150, 200,
yeah,
200 pounds.
strange.
I was like, and I've got Panzer Dragoon, which is going for $350 now.
Yeah.
But I bought that, like, obviously I bought it on release.
Yeah.
So
it's like years ago when I was young, like when the N64 first came out, I had a Pikachu N64, and at the time, like after
you've said something Pokemon, Nintendo are probably going to flag the video now.
I said the name Pikachu.
Yeah.
Anyway, and like just over the years, like I lost a cable or something, and my mum decided to chuck it because I didn't really use it, and we didn't know obviously that version of the N64 is pretty rare and it's not exactly worth like a King's Ransom, but it's worth like £80 now.
It's probably over
in comparison to the standard N64, which is worth like 20. So now I'm just like
sadness.
Yeah.
So did you want to talk about the questions that we had?
Is that it for the games we've played?
Yeah, I haven't really played that much.
I played Dark Souls briefly, and remembered that I was in Sen's Fortress.
And then you became sad inside.
Yeah. Yeah, other than that, I haven't really had much time to play much this week, which is kind of a shame. So I guess we should just move on to the news.
So I guess there's 3 main pieces this.
Well, there's one thing that everyone's been talking about. So.
What, game trailers?
Yeah, the closure of game trailers after about 13 years of them being around.
To be honest, my take on it, and I've not done super amounts of research, however, I have looked into it briefly.
Yes.
My take on it is I'm unsurprised for several reasons.
Alright.
First of all, they were a pretty large company.
Yeah, that's the thing that everyone keeps talking about, yeah.
They were a fairly large company. They were essentially kind of competing against themselves in that they had a lot of their videos hosted on their own website.
Well, I was going to say, if you're going to say YouTube not first, they didn't do that for a long time.
And then they were trying to migrate over, and I think that honestly they just. It's like, even IGN, I'd love to know IGN's financials, because although I think they're getting a lot of brand deals and advertising because of the sheer number of people, it must the cost, because if you look at the number of viewers on some of IGN's videos, they're really low. They're like 1,000 views.
Yeah, but it's because they spam so much content. Like, as we ourselves have learned, you need to limit the amount of videos you put up in a single day, because no one has time to watch like 8 to 10 videos or however many IGN puts up on a single day.
Sometimes it's more than that.
Because they've got so many staff doing so much different content that, it just happens.
And I think the problem with, IGN are probably, they've got a lot of clout in the industry and they get a lot of exclusives.
They're not going anywhere anytime soon.
No, but I think games trailers closing down, it's sad, and I hope that people land on their feet, but I think we're going to see other websites go as well.
Yeah, I mean, game trailers, I haven't done a huge amount of research myself. It just seemed to me that when YouTube first came around, they kind of made a bit of a mistake by sticking with their website and their own player. Because when YouTube started to become big, everyone just wanted to have all their content on YouTube. Very few people would be willing to go onto another site just to watch one set of videos.
See, it's arguable that there was a reason behind that.
The reason behind that is obviously
ad revenue.
The ad revenue they get from their own player on their own website is obviously better, but at the same time, if less people are going to watch it, it's kind of irrelevant.
Half a dozen the other.
Yeah. And obviously they're getting brand deals of blah, 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 blah. Obviously I don't know the financials, but,
I'm going to say not well, considering they've...
But that was definitely one of the issues, and they also had the problem of they had a lot of staff, and obviously their overheads were probably insane.
Yeah,
so,
they're working in offices.
Yeah.
It's different if
YouTube is, you can make enough money from YouTube if you've, got a huge amount of viewers to, support maybe 1 or 2 people, but when you've got, a big company, no.
No, you just can't do it. Let's say for the sake of argument, you've got 1 million subscribers. You can survive,
That's for one person, that's pretty good.
Yeah, but
for a big company, who's got several staff, an office to pay for, God knows what
especially
else.
because I believe I can't remember where they're located, but it's a fairly expensive area.
I can't remember, to be honest. I think it's
it's like
San Francisco,
something like that, and it's not cheap there.
Somewhere that's expensive, basically. I can't remember.
As I said, if they had 10 members of staff, but they're all working from home, probably they could maybe soldier a bit.
I think it was just everything piled on top of each other, and obviously because they had so many staff uploading so many videos, you had the same problem that IGN has.
Precisely.
Basically. Now, it's definitely sad to see them go because they've been around since 2002. No, 2002.
2003, something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines. So they were one of the first people to do video content on games. When they first came around, that wasn't really a thing on YouTube. It was very young, and it was probably maybe a handful of people doing it.
To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of users back then were still on dial-up.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. People couldn't watch a huge amount of videos because they just didn't.
Yeah.
They just couldn't. But the thing is, I think the main creators will be fine. Carl Bossman and the other guys who did all the most popular series, they can easily take that idea or a similar idea, go to YouTube, go to Patreon, say, I'm so-and-so from Game Trailers, and they'll probably be alright. But a lot of the staff who perhaps were working in the background, they're obviously not so lucky.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's the ones... I don't really know the way they were handling things in terms of video editing.
I'm not sure.
But... Anyway, we might as well move on to Quantum Break.
Yes, it was confirmed after some rumours for some time now that it is indeed coming out on PC, and quite a nice little bonus actually. If you pre-order the game for Xbox One on the Windows Store, you get a free version of the PC version, which is kind of nice. I don't know if that would work the other way around. I highly doubt it though.
To be honest, I was covering this yesterday because of comments from both Aaron Greenberg and Phil Spencer. And a lot of users have become really upset, and they've said, "Well, Microsoft." I don't know about
a lot. A lot might be a bit.
A lot.
A vocal minority is probably how I would phrase it personally.
Well, I would say a lot of people. They've been worried. That Xbox hasn't been doing so well. And when I say a lot, it's also you get the Sony fans who are laughing, you get the Xbox fans who are complaining, and PC gamers who are laughing as well. And it's to me, to be honest with you, it's unsurprising because Microsoft, for a long time now, they've made it very clear that they don't think of the Xbox or the PC or any of these systems as platforms. The only platform they actually care about is Windows, and that's why they keep saying that the devices they're using are essentially an endpoint for you to play the games and experiences. That's why they keep saying, we are a service-based company. We're providing you a service to play the experiences. And I think my personal standpoint is, it's just going to benefit us as users. And
here's the thing. Like, as much as I think that I always kind of point out the critical flaw of people saying, complaining that a game is on more platforms. It's like, well, more people can play it. Why do you care? As long as you can play it, why are you bothered? If it suddenly went PC only, I would totally be understanding why people would be upset. But when it's like, okay, more people can play this game, what is the problem? But at the same time, they have invested probably, if they bought it at launch, a lot of money. And even if they bought it like last month, it's still a lot of money. Even if it's gone down a lot since the launch price. They've invested a lot on the promise of you will only get these, but you only will get these games as Xbox One owners. And that list has been growing smaller rather than larger. So I can kind of see why they're upset, but I do think they're overreacting.
My opinion...
moaning at Phil Spencer isn't really going to achieve much.
My opinion is that I don't blame them necessarily for complaint. I think that Microsoft made the right decision releasing it on the PC as well.
Yeah.
But I think they should have been clearer at the start that they were going to release it on PC, or at least contemplating it.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was about to say, is that one of the people raised a valid point, actually, that, all this time you've been saying Quantum Break is an Xbox One exclusive with no whispers apart from a couple of rumours that easily could have been written off as false, that it was coming out on PC. Whereas with other titles, Microsoft has kind of hinted that maybe this will come out on PC. Say, for example, Gears of War 4. They did kind of hint that possibly we might get it on PC.
What I found really interesting, though, about that, there was another user on Twitter that was saying, hey, now that this has happened, I get the feeling that Halo, Gears of War and Scalebound are going to come out as well. So I don't think Xbox... But what's really interesting is Phil did not actually say no plans. He actually instead said, no, the Xbox is still a focus. He didn't say no, there's no plan.
They've always said from the start that they're not ruling out bringing out games like Gears of War, Crackdown and Scalebound on PC. They haven't ruled it out, but they haven't said yes either. Now, I think that's a valid point, that they should have been clearer with their messaging on Quantum Break, that there was a chance that they were thinking about bringing it on PC. Even if it never happens, they never promised it was coming out on PC. They only said possibly one day. At least then, people can say, you were told, we were thinking about this. Whereas with Quantum Break, apart from rumours, that was never said.
The thing that I don't understand, though, is Phil did say that, we wasn't sure if we could bring it out. And to be honest...
Maybe it's just where they weren't sure if Remedy would actually have the time.
Yeah, see...
Considering this has been delayed, 2 or 3 times now.
Yeah, see, that's the only thing.
It's supposed to be an Xbox One launch game, wasn't it?
I think not launch, but I believe it's supposed to be within the launch time.
Yeah, I know, it's now coming out April this year, so...
You know what, though? I think that's probably for the best.
If it needed that extra time, it needed that extra time, but that just says, they were clearly right to kind of hold off on the PC version.
So, I guess speaking of kind of holding off...
Yes, a interesting surprise. There have been rumours for a while that Ubisoft would not be doing a AAA Assassin's Creed. Now, I say AAA because people are going to say, what about Assassin's Creed Chronicles India? That's not AAA, that's a spin-off. Apart from the Chronicles games, we will not be getting a Assassin's Creed in 2016, and they probably mean financial year as well. So that will count till April of next year, I believe.
Yeah.
So basically we won't be getting Assassin's Creed till at least 2017 Christmas, basically, is what it looks like. Also October, November,
yeah, I was gonna say,
usual Assassin's Creed release period, basically. And I think that's for the best. People are becoming a bit sick of Assassin's Creed. As much as Syndicate was a fine return to form after the mess that was Unity, I definitely agree with their decision, because it's becoming a bit stale. They haven't really innovated at all. To be honest, adding a grappling hook is not an innovation. That's all they really added in terms of gameplay and improvements to stealth and blah 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 blah. The fact they didn't even get stealth till Unity is just...
That's painful, considering it's Assassin's Creed.
That boggles my mind that it took them that many games to figure out that maybe you should have a way other than creeping up to a bush to go into stealth mode, which is what they did before. So I think it's good. If they should sit down, rethink Assassin's Creed, rethink what makes it fun, innovate, come up with some fresh ideas, because you can't keep selling people the same game with a different skin, which is essentially kind of what it's turned into lately.
FIFA and other games disagree.
Well, I don't like this game, so that's relevant.
Neither do I, but
for a game like Assassin's Creed, you can't get away with that as much.
I think
People are just bored, and I don't blame them. So.
I think honestly, it's a good thing. But did you? This is somewhat off topic of the whole thing. Did you see that to Ubisoft, that you know how Ubisoft have got a lot of deals with Sony, you know, with exclusive content and all that bollocks, which I think is a whole crock of crap.
Yeah, let's not get into that.
Yeah, but what I think was quite interesting is they did just announce that the Xbox One owners, let's say you spend $1 on the PS4, the Xbox One owner equivalently will spend $1.25.
For what, sorry?
For any transaction. So in other words, Xbox
What do you mean,
One,
microtransactions, DLC? Be more specific here.
anything. They said that per user, the Xbox One owners are worth more money.
But the games cost the same. I don't.
No, but they're saying that there's higher attach rates and more users are buying games on the Xbox One than the PlayStation 4.
Right. Okay.
So basically, they're saying that for DLC, for microtransactions, for actual cost of purchases in the game, Xbox One owners are spending more money than what PlayStation 4 owners.
You made it sound as if they're being charged more.
No.
Alright, okay, so they're spending more.
Yeah, they're spending more money.
I see.
So while the Xbox One owners, you know, while there's fewer of them, they make up for it in sheer...
The amount of DLC and whatnot that they purchase.
Yeah, I don't know if...
The exact figures, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if all the companies are saying the same thing, but Ubisoft did announce it. I know because I spotted it on NeoGAF out of 5 minutes of boredom. But yeah, it's quite interesting. So I guess the next logical thing we should go for...
One thing I want to mention before we move on is that the report that predicted that there would be no Assassin's Creed this year also predicted that the next game would be set in Egypt. That has not been confirmed, but obviously the fact that they were right about the big thing of there not being an Assassin's Creed this year does lend credence to their report that we will be getting an Egyptian
Assassin's
setting.
Credence, if you will.
Indeed. I mean, I would be okay with that. I've always said Egypt would be a really cool setting, although I will say Japan until the day I die. Hopefully should get an Assassin's Creed in Japan at some point, not a Chronicles one. Thanks, Ubisoft.
I mean, imagine running up the pyramids. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when it's going to be set. They didn't say, just that it'll be in Egypt at some point, basically. So
fair enough.
Yeah, they don't usually go back in time, so it'll be obviously after.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're going to run out of time at this rate.
Well, given that the modern day Assassin's Creed, they've got a while. Given that they only just got to Industrial Revolution England.
I think much past that, and I'll probably start losing interest.
Yeah, I mean, they have to do the modern day eventually, but
no.
You know.
I want stabby, not snipey.
It wouldn't be snipey though.
Well, you know what I mean. I guess the other one we should go for is probably the question that we had.
Yes. Before we get on to the question that we got, last week we discussed a comment that we got from Thomas B, basically saying how we were part of the reason he chose his computing class, I believe, computer science, if I remember correctly. And he basically responded and discussed a little bit more about it, and just thought you might be interested. He said, just to explain a little bit more about how exactly this happened. I was studying A-level maths and BTEC IT and business. Wasn't sure what I wanted to study at uni. My teacher basically sat down with me to choose a course. It was almost too late to apply through UCAS at that point. I knew basic programming and a little Java. And I watched one of your videos that day. Of course, I was always into PC hardware and software, so naturally I chose computer science. To be honest, I found programming overwhelming. The rest was awesome. I used a lot of what you were talking about in my personal statement. And yeah, studying at City University of London. This is my second year, and I moved to business computing systems, which is kind of similar, but no C++, and some very technical stuff. Until now, I have a very good experience.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That was very cool.
So I just thought you might be interested in a bit more about what he had to say regarding his choice.
That's pretty cool. Not gonna lie.
So, did you want to pose the next question?
Well, we had a question from a viewer on Facebook.
It's Dan P.
Yeah, and he wanted to know if we could basically get amnesia regarding one game, relive it. What would that game be?
And why?
Yeah.
It's basically remove a game from memory.
Get to experience it. You know the game's good, but you don't know anything else other than the game's good.
And just this question kind of threw me for a bit. I wasn't 100% sure because there's a lot of really good games, but I was trying to think of games that had that the first time you play it is special because it just has that impact of like, oh my god, or whatever. And the games I thought of were Silent Hill 2 for obvious reasons. The story, while it's great to do multiple playthroughs, get the different endings and whatnot, the story, the first time you experience it is just, you can't replace that on multiple playthroughs.
Do you want me to give you a little bit of a tidbit of information?
Sure.
Random side quest, if you will, of a story.
Uh-huh.
So, essentially, he says, as the viewers groan, my friend who came from America, who will remain nameless in this video, he'd only been over here a couple of weeks when I met him. And I decided the PlayStation 2 at the time was fairly new, obviously, and he said, dude, do you want to come around mine? Because he basically knew no one in the country. So, he only had a couple of friends, so I went round his house and bought my PlayStation 2 with Silent Hill, and basically we were playing Silent Hill 2 together, and yeah, I remember we got to the elevator part, and this is, in the hospital.
Yeah, I know the part you mean.
I won't go any further apart from, the voices. That's all I'll say, because I don't want to spoil the thing.
I don't think you can...
Yeah, you never know. There might be someone who hasn't played it. And I remember we were just kind of looking at each other at like 2 o'clock in the morning, like, that can't be good.
Yeah, I will admit that scene that you're talking about with the guy comes over the intercom on the elevator and it's really weird. I myself was just there like, okay, what the shit?
We didn't get the good ending. Let's go with that either.
Yeah, it's quite a funny story actually. Speaking of Silent Hill 2, I played it and I got what is probably the good ending for that game. And then like I was just replaying it, so like a few months later or whatever, and my sister happened to be going past, and I like kind of told her about the game. She'd kind of seen a little bit of it through me playing it and whatnot. And I said, "Oh, I'm just about to finish the game. You should come and check out the ending." And as the ending unfolded, I was becoming more and more like, this is not right. This is not the ending. What's happening? Where's my medicine? Help! And basically, without really trying, I had gotten the ending where he kills himself. And I was just there, like, just basically sweating, like, this isn't right. What's happening? This isn't the ending.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so that was quite funny.
So anyway, you were continuing.
Yes, sorry. So Silent Hill 2 would be one I'd experience again fresh if I could. The other one would probably be Shadow of the Colossus, just
That's
because...
That's a good choice. I haven't played it though. I have heard
yeah,
it's
you
good.
need to. You need to change that. I played like the remaster they did for PS3, just because it has improved frame rate and other things. Now, while that game is definitely good on other playthroughs, especially because you start unlocking extra stuff as you start doing like the time trials of like the other Colossi and stuff, but the first time you experience that game is definitely special, and you could probably say the same about Ico, the other game that those guys did.
Never played that one either.
It's not as good as Shadow of the Colossus, at least in my opinion, but it is definitely really good. It's just the atmosphere in that game is just so special, and how it just has this world with like nothing in it, and yet it still makes it intriguing.
Is that it, or you got others?
And Okami for the PS2. That's one of my favourite games of all time.
You've got a lot of PS2 games in there, I noticed.
Yes.
No Xbox 360 or PC or.
Just trying to think. I mean, as I said, there's loads of good games that like they're the same, well, not the same experience. We can replay them and not lose any of that same impact, you know. But there are certain games that the first time you play them, it just has that impact on you, you know. And I'm just trying to think of other ones, and I've played so many games over the last few years. I'm kind of struggling. I mean, maybe say yours, and I'll think of something.
Okay, I have quite a few.
Okay, go then.
Okay, small little bit of setting the scene. So I'm young. I can't remember how old, but I'm going to say like 11 or so. When I get my PlayStation 1, and I bought the PlayStation 1 after having the Saturn, and I still have my Saturn, I still love it, but I bought several games with my PlayStation. One of them was Final Fantasy VII, and I'll be honest, I loaded it up. I got at the very start, everyone knows the start, you know, where you come out the train.
Yeah, I don't think you can really complain about spoilers on that game.
So you come out the train, and then you very first go into, you know, where you're trying to gain access to the first reactor.
Yeah.
And I got to that far and turned it off and thought this game's shit. And instead, I ended up playing Final Doom for about an hour, and I played something else. And I'll be honest, for the next 2 or 3 days, I didn't play it. No, it's maybe about another day. Because obviously I had a new console. I was like, it's not that I thought it was shit. It's just that I wanted instant gratification.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It was a new console, and you just think to yourself, oh, I need to play. But then there was something in the back of my mind that was remembering all of the screenshots and all of the hype people were giving about the game. Because I was like, this is back when I was young, so I was reading like official PlayStation magazine and CVG and all that. Yeah. So anyway, eventually I thought to myself, you know what? I need to sit down and play it properly. And there was something after a while when I sat down, shut up, and just got on with it. I think that game is probably one of my most redefining experiences of gaming, and I completed it so many times. I'm talking at one point, I completed it about 4 times in a row, and on the 4th time I completed it, I'd gotten all my characters. I always got all my characters to 99, but the last time I did it, not only did I have all my characters at 99, I'd mastered all of my materia like 4 or 5 times over. So I had like every materia at master. So I had like, you know, the master materia. So basically, if you master all magic, green magic, you get literally a one materia which is just called Master Green or whatever it's called, and literally it's like all the spells on that one green materia. And I'd gotten like, and you have to level up each of the pieces of materia, 1 piece for each of them. So I did that, and I had like so many, and I beat all the emerald weapons, got all the limit breaks.
I mean, this is slightly kind of related, but a bit off topic. I did not play Final Fantasy VII until years later, because the first time I played it was round a friend's house, and I'd never really played a game like that before. And I obviously didn't know what to make of it. I was pretty young at the time, and didn't really think much of it, to be honest, because I played it for like a few minutes at a friend's house, and that was it for the night. It's
hard to get a judgment on a game like that. Just
exactly. And like, because I was fairly new to gaming at that time, and I didn't really read any magazines or anything, I hadn't really heard of it. It was just because my friend was like, oh, I should show you this game, basically. And so for years I didn't play a Final Fantasy, and I didn't play Final Fantasy X, which was my first real Final Fantasy, until, gosh, what year would it have been? It would have been 2008? Is that right?
I don't know.
I'm thinking. Yeah, 2008 roughly. Basically, 2 of my friends were really into Final Fantasy, and I told them that I never really played one, and they were like, here's my copy of Final Fantasy X, go and play it now, basically. And I just kind of did it, just be like, alright, fine. And then, once I played that, obviously, I loved it, and went and basically made it my mission to go backwards and play through the older ones. So, yeah. I kind of wish, in a way, that I played 10 sooner, and played 7 sooner, but I didn't. So
okay, so for other games for me, there's so many. One of them is going to have to be Panzer Dragoon Saga on the Saturn. Absolutely incredible game. It's actually kind of funny because I was racing a couple of my friends, James and Stephen. They were brothers, and they're like near me, and I've known them since childhood. I was literally racing them through the game. Like, we were trying to complete it our fastest, which, to be honest, was a stupid idea to do on an RPG, but it's just something we were doing at the time. And I think that was an amazing experience. Shining the Holy Ark on the Saturn as well. And, you know, I'd say Knights of the Old Republic on the PC. Incredible experience. But for me, I think a lot of games, they lose a lot of their magic on the second playthrough. And I think there are some games that, if I could have twisted the question, which I won't do, but if I could have twisted it slightly to be something like, if I could have played any experience of a game again, so in other words, my first experience of a specific generation or a specific experience, Half-Life, actually, I would love to have played that game again from the beginning. But I remember, for example, the first time I played Streets of Rage on the Mega Drive, and just how it felt, and it was just like, you just think to yourself, "Holy shit, this is incredible!" You know, just the experiences that you have.
I thought of one actually. You could probably make a strong argument for the first playthrough of Portal being.
Never played Portal.
You need to fix that. It's basically free when the Steam sale's on.
I've actually got both of them.
Oh, you need to change that.
You know what it is? I can't. I tried playing it a little bit.
I am terrible at puzzles, as anyone who's tried to watch me play a puzzle game on this channel can testify to. But
testify. Testify.
I still enjoyed that game. You know, the first playthrough, it tricks you into thinking it's just going to be a puzzle game, and that's it. But it's way more than that. And obviously, it's kind of gotten overhyped and memed to hell now. But
see, that's one of the reasons I don't want to play it. Because
back in the day, you know, it was amazing. Even if I myself played it like a while after it came out, I played it before it became like a meme instead of a game.
See, that's the reason I don't want to play it, or one of the main reasons, because it's gotten so freaking hyped to me now.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing that happened to me with 7. It's like, because it was so many years before I finally played it, like I'd had years and years of people going, "This is the greatest game ever!" And I'm just playing it. And I'm like, yeah, that's right.
To be honest, I don't. I think when I've played games like Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, and all these other games, and there were memories that are just like etched upon my soul.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just gaming is so awesome.
Yeah, there's so many games. Like, I think we kind of have to restrict it a little bit, because otherwise they should say, well, all of them.
Yeah.
But you know, obviously you can't say that. The only one that I would maybe say,
I've got one for you. What would you say, right, and this is going to piss people off, what game would you say is one experience where you were waiting for it and waiting for... Oh, and viewers, also, what games would you like to replay from the very beginning?
Yeah, like if you could erase your memory and replay a game for the first time, what would it be? Yeah, and why?
Alright, so my question to you is...
Yes.
What game would you say that you were hyped up to play?
Yes.
And you were like, oh my god, this is going to be the best thing since sliced bread. And then you played it and you thought, ugh.
I'm trying to, something popped into my head before I even finished the question, but I'm trying to make sure there's not anything better before I give my answer.
I can think of a couple.
To be honest, the immediate answer that popped into my mind was Watch Dogs. That was basically Disappointment Simulator.
I think for me...
Because it had just been hyped to a ridiculous level. And then when I finally played it, you know, it's not like it was a bad game. It was just kind of...
average.
Mediocre. You know, mediocre and all that. But I was just like... I was pretty disappointed with that game because it had just gotten so ridiculously hyped. Oh, and Assassin's Creed Unity as well. It was terrible. Jesus.
You know, for me... It's probably a lot of Bethesda's titles.
Yeah.
It's like, you know how I feel about Bethesda's titles? It's not that the games themselves are bad. It's just that compared to
other experiences, they are way overhyped.
Yeah, it's like Fallout 4. I'm not saying it's a bad game, because although I do criticise it heavily, I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's quite fun. But it's not the second coming to me. It's a good game, but
very few games could be called the second coming.
Yeah, though. It's just like compared to something like The Witcher 3 or other tight experiences.
Yeah, I mean for RPGs, I would personally say The Witcher 3 over Fallout 4.
Okay, one last one.
All right.
What game is one game that everyone criticises? But you quite like it.
You know what my answer's going to be, though?
No, I don't actually.
Oh, you should. I'm probably going to get turned into some sort of pariah, but I didn't hate Final Fantasy 13. I didn't. I'm sorry. I mean, it's not great by any means, but it wasn't like the acid to the face that everyone made it out to be.
You know what my one is?
Sure, go. What is it?
Call of Duty single player.
To be fair, that is not the focus of that game. ever.
You know why?
It used to be, not anymore.
You know, for a lot of people, they freaking hate it. But for me, I think it's just dumb, fun, shoot, bang, bang in the face, I'm done kind of thing. It's like wham, bam, thank you, man.
I mean, I don't think anyone hates it exactly.
Some
because
people really do.
A lot of people don't even bother to play it. They will buy it when it comes out or whatever,
and they're like,
play the multiplayer, and they won't even load up the single player, which is fair enough because you could easily argue that the single player is pretty throwaway.
I really enjoy it. But then I am
not into those type of games, if I said.
To be honest, though, I am that person who will play Gears of War only for the single player because I'm not really interested in the multi.
I'm not a multiplayer person unless it's StarCraft or Hearthstone. And maybe Overwatch.
I used to be really into multiplayer.
And maybe Overwatch when that comes out.
I used to be really into multiplayer, but I tell you what killed it for me, to be honest. I'm someone who doesn't get enjoyment from being crap at a game and playing multiplayer. I'm someone who really enjoys the mechanics and knowing a game inside out. I don't have to win, but I have to be able to understand what's going on in the game. So it's like if I feel that if I feel like I'm not even at a level where I can understand really the gameplay properly and be competitive, I just don't enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just a lot of what puts me off of certain games that I would kind of be tempted to try is the reputation of toxicity in the community. I have never played League of Legends or Dota 2.
I haven't, but it's mostly because of the learning experience.
Sorry?
It's mostly because of the learning curve, the time.
Well, yeah, there is that, the basically vertical learning curve for knowing how to play it properly. Games like Smite do try and help you out with that. That is a bit more of a easy, like, beginner's experience.
I don't mind a hard learning curve, but I just don't feel like I've got the time to put into it now.
There is that, but one of the main thing that puts me off is the reputation the community has for being incredibly toxic. I play games to relax and unwind, and I don't get that if everyone on my team is shouting at me because I'm bringing them down. Because I've not played the game before.
Alright, so I guess...
Yeah, before we waffle anymore, let's finish up with the giveaway. Do you want to perhaps go and grab the games?
Yeah, 1 second everyone. Well, it won't be a second for you because I'm going to pause the recording. Ha ha ha, power of, everything.
Time powers!
Okay, so we do have a whole bunch. Yeah, time powers we're using.
So basically we've got a bit of a giveaway. We've got a whole stack of games and we're going to be giving away 2 of them. So if you want to explain...
we'll probably have another giveaway soon.
Yeah, we'll have another giveaway and later on, like, whatever.
Yeah,
but for now...
So we've got games such as...
Sorry, before you say... Just want to say, with all these games, other than the one that we will mention, GTA... we have the PS4 and the Xbox One version. So basically, you can win one of these games, but we have 2 games to give away for your choice of platform. So basically, pick whatever game you want from this stack on your choice of platform. We have 2 games to give away, but we'll get that to in a minute. So what games have we got?
So we have Assassin's Creed Syndicate. That is on both Xbox One and PS4.
Yeah, just mention when it's not.
Okay, so Call of Duty, Black Ops 3, Just Cause 3, Fallout 4. There is a small caveat, however, with the PS4 version. I have no idea where the box is. I know I've got it somewhere. If worst comes to absolute worst, you will just be mailed the disc.
Yeah, we can't find the case at the moment, but we'll try our best to
I know it's somewhere in my place, but I don't know where it is, but it is here. A couple of these games, by the way, are still shrink-wrapped. So Fallout on the Xbox One, I'm not joking, is literally still shrink-wrapped.
Yeah, so we've got Fallout 4 and on both versions, but the PS4 version has no case.
Yeah, so... Just to clarify...
Unless we find it.
Yeah, so essentially we've got Assassin's Creed Syndicate, both systems, Call of Duty Black Ops, both systems, Just Cause, both systems, Fallout, both systems, and Grand Theft Auto 5 on only the PS4. I repeat, only the PS4.
Yeah, so if you're on GTA, it's only on the PS4. We actually got rid of our Xbox One version quite some time ago.
Because I lost the PS4 version.
But it went missing for ages, and then, It
was under a shelf, basically.
Basically, you can pick any of those games for your choice of platform, assuming we have it. It's not GTA 5, of course. It's only on PS4, as we said. And what do you have to do? Well, as I said, we are going to give away 2 games to 2 people. And you have 2 ways to enter. One of which is like and comment and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. But I'm going
to this video.
Like and comment on this video or on the SoundCloud file, assuming you're listening to it on SoundCloud, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. But I'm going to assume most of you have. And the second way you can enter is to retweet or share the video on social media, on Facebook or Twitter. Basically, we're going to be making a post on the official RGT Facebook and Twitter, which is always /RedGamingTech when you're trying to find us, by the way. And basically, you just have to share or retweet that, and that will count as an entry. So you can basically choose which way to enter. Doing both is basically not going to count for much.
You can, by all means, do both methods, but we will only choose.
Basically, we're making sure that the one person gets one game, essentially.
So you can't end up by picking
up 2 games. Yeah.
But feel free to enter both ways.
Yeah, you can if you want to like increase your chances of winning, I suppose. But yeah.
Yeah. And
don't forget to...
so one last thing, guys, and this one's blatantly obvious, but you know, I don't want anyone to be crying foul. First of all, we will mention your name when we report the giveaway or who wins it.
Or your username.
Yeah, so you have to be comfortable with that. But the big one, you have to, if you're underage, you have to have permission of whomever it is to tell us your physical address, because we're going to be mailing this to you.
Well, yeah, obviously we have to send it to you, so you have to be okay with the fact that you're going to tell us where you live in a private message or whatever.
Yeah, we're not going to blast that on the internet. Don't worry. We're not going to put that on the comment video. You know, Bob lives at this street address, Winston.
Yeah.
But we all have to be comfortable. We will set up when we choose the winner, we'll email the winner or message them.
It'll be done like either through private messaging or email, so don't worry about that. But it seems obvious to say, but just making it clear.
Because I don't want you to be thinking, wait, shit, I have to give these random dudes on the internet my address.
The main thing, I mean, this sounds also obvious, is these games are obviously from the UK. Now, while the PS4 and Xbox One do not have region locking for the physical disc,
as far as we understand it, if it doesn't work, not our fault.
Yeah. As far as I've been reading, the disc itself will work, but if you are not from the UK, and we'll be limiting this giveaway to the US, Canada, UK, and Europe, by the way.
Just because of postage costs. If you are outside and you're willing to PayPal the money for the postage,
like if you live in like Australia or whatever and you want it, then feel free. But
send us £5 or whatever postage, and you're cool.
The main thing is that multiplayer and DLC and Season Pass content will not work if you do not live in the UK.
For PS4, I don't know about the Xbox One.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on Xbox One, but for PS4, do not purchase any DLC on this disc, because it will not work if you're not living in the UK. And same goes for multiplayer. So for Black Ops 3, if you don't live in the UK, probably best to leave it.
Yeah. For the PS4 version, I would suggest doing a bit of research.
Yeah, for the Xbox One...
Sorry, for the Xbox One.
Yeah, as far as I know, there's no region locking, but I can't find any information on DLC. I would imagine it's probably the same, but I don't want to say that and that not be true.
And lastly, when you're sharing and commenting on all of that bollocks, do mention the game that you want.
Yes. The comment that you should make, and obviously when you share or retweet it, say, I want X.
And Paul is sexy.
No, you do not have to say that.
No, but you do need to say, I want X on platform Y, because otherwise we're going to look at you funny.
Basically.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so you win yourself some free stuff.
Yeah, so win yourself free stuff. As I said, just to clarify, all of them have been opened aside from
Fallout 4 on the Xbox One and Just Cause 3
on the Xbox One.
Yep.
Oh, and one last thing, guys. None of the DLC or codes have been used on this. So
yeah, so if there's any like DLC codes inside the box, it has not been used.
Yeah, so you're good. Basically, it's equivalent of having a brand new game sent to you.
Yes.
And that's pretty much it. There will be another giveaway soon. We're probably going to give away some PC stuff and other bits. But for now, I think you're getting enough out of us.
Yes. We're kind of dragging on a little bit now. So on that note, thank you very much for listening, guys. See you next time.
Bye. Have funsies.